call Lin from Infineon. So Infineon is one of the companies which does the devices, the hardware root of trust. And it's a leading provider, and they do a lot of interesting things in payments, gateways, hardware identification devices. I will ask her to come in and give you an introduction to what Infineon can do to make IoT a lot easier, safer. Khor.
Good morning, everyone. Right, thanks for coming back. So my name is Khor Hwai Lin. I'm based out of Singapore. You can call me Lin in short. So actually, I head the business development for South Asia as well as South Korea. So it's my pleasure today to be with you to share about security for Internet of Things and blockchain. Basically, thank you, Daisy, as well as Prakash, who have set the stage this morning. So I wanted to move on to talk about more important topics about how do you secure your devices that's on the IoT network, both on the edge as well as the server and routers. So I guess this is not covered in the morning, just wanted to give an impression. So from Infineon perspective, we feel IoT is actually physical objects that are connected to the information network. And as shared also in this morning, it's in all applications, all right? From the minute you're at your home to the time when you step out, you get your car, whether it's smart cars or connected cars, and even when you reach the office, it could be a smart office, it could be a smart manufacturing. And also when you step up for lunch, where there's a retail, probably you have something that is going on to retail where they're gathering some information on the user experience as well as on the consumer spending behavior. So it's everywhere around us. And also for Infineon, we do believe that security is the #1 concern, especially when you are in a connected world. Okay, security can be in many layers. First, at the device level. First, you do not want your device to be compromised with say, a fake device that is attached to your printer. So what happened was, a lot of time you need authentication to ensure that whatever that's attached to the device is from the right manufacturer. It does not cause any harm to your system, and it also will be a brand protection for the manufacturer himself. So it spans across, okay, from like what I say, printer, it could also be electric vehicle. So imagine next time you have an electric vehicle where you need to do a battery swap. And you need to make sure that this battery probably are manufactured by the rightful manufacturers, or it has been fully charged and all this. And you do not want this to be compromised because the safety of the driver is of concern. And therefore, you probably would like to have a security IC on the battery to ensure this device is the authenticated and safe batteries. So likewise on the system and service. So a lot of time, new services can be created just through security, where you ensure how confidentiality and how secure is your communication system from the devices to the servers, and how it also manage the download and upload processes. And it also prevents system downtime. So for example, you could have fraud or manipulation that happen man in the middle, and how security can actually be implemented to ensure such cases do not happen to the system. And a lot of time, even in the sharing economy, security is being thought of as how do we enable a safe sharing, where you will get the car that you rent and not other people who intercept and probably get the car that you have rented. So some of these new business models also have started thinking how to incorporate security from day one, from design. Okay. So these are some of the cases of attacks that happen globally. So we read this all the time, even in developed countries, in many different areas. So some of these attacks are not just targeting at the industry level, also it targets at the home, it also targets at cars and many different ways. So therefore, it is of key concern that if you are designing an IoT system today, you should be thinking of security from the scratch. So these are the things that I have just mentioned. So if the security of the device or the system has been compromised, and these are the costs that will incur on the companies. So direct and indirect costs including the revenue, your productivity, your brand reputation, as well as, for example, if you have a customer who is losing the data to some hackers, so you need to have a liability and legal to get involved to actually help to resolve the case. So you do not want your company to be part of this, and that is why, again, a lot of times we need to have this in mind. And what are the key concerns of security that we hear from our customers, also across the industry? First, like I mentioned, fake device. So you do not want any other devices to be joining your network, especially if you're in a secure industrial manufacturing environment. You do not want another person put a thumb drive into one of your machine and starting to download the malware into it. Eavesdropping, yes, so a lot of information are being sent across in the network. You do not want also a hackers to be listening, sniffing out the information that is sent across and reading out what are the key information. And of course, manipulation of the data, as well as the update of the firmware. And this is very important, especially, for example, again, connected car. In future, car manufacturers are thinking, I can actually download the latest firmware of your car over the air. But that is also something need to be done in a secured manner. Else, it actually is possible that a hacker could come in and download some malware into the firmware and started to control your car or misbehave. And that is, again, a safety concern, and also life is a threat. So that is why it's also very important to protect firmware updates. So this is just another view of where the compromise can happen. It can be from a bad device, where the devices are not belonging to this network being injected into this part of this IoT network and started to interact with your server. If the security measures are not being implemented, it can actually get access to this. And like I mentioned just now, eavesdropper, this is quite common. Most of the time, a lot of attacks happen because they are trying to attack on what is the information being transferred. And of course, with the bad server meaning to say, instead of this particular server, there's another server network that has actually imitate to be the one to be connecting to this network and gathering all the information. And this could be also a possible threat to the IoT ecosystem. So for us in Infineon, we believe that security means these three pillars: confidentiality. How do you ensure that the information is confidence? The data is whatever that it is not being manipulated, and also you are the rightful devices. And the concept behind here is basically based on a key. So essentially what I mean by keys are things that you keep for yourself and you do not release to anybody. And if anyone wants to communicate with you, you have your own private key, he has his public key. And with only transmitting his public key to you, you will be able to identify if that is the person that you really want to talk to. So what happened is, we believe that keys are the trust anchor. So with the compromised key, means someone who is having your key of your house, he can always enter it. And that is why it is important to have these keys securely safe in somewhere. And this is where we say the revocation of a key is also very expensive process. If, for example, you lost your key, you need to look around for retrieving back the same key, and someone could have gotten it and come into your premise or somewhat. So this is just a simple concept of this, but what we wanted to say is, since the keys are so important, you need to have a trust anchor which could actually safely govern this key and nobody get out of that. And it has to be tamper resistant such that nobody can actually try to open it and try to access the key. It's as if like a lock where you actually a safe that store the keys, and only you have the access to this safe to know what is the key behind. So which platform do you think it will be the most secure to store a key? So I will just give you the answer immediately. To us, we feel hardware security is the root of trust, where these keys will be the safest place for you to store. Why? Because with the IC that is designed from scratch through manufacturing to the front end process where it is infused when it's being manufactured, this key will not leave this chip. And if anybody is to tap on this chip and trying to steal the image or try to get access to this key, the chip will just fail by itself. So that is why it's a 100% guarantee that for a hardware security, your keys are very safe in this IC. Of course, you cannot just have a solution without the software. So therefore, we are putting this as an enhancement at your edge device. And at the same time, you will have your application security, you have your cyber security, and of course, you, meaning the consumer and the companies themselves, are the user behavior, how they actually release their own personal information. That could be also a security threat. But of course, that part is more education. But for us, what we understand is if you make your device safe from the hardware level for your edge devices, you will be at least secured at that layer. And as a manufacturer, as a design house, you make sure that your design are secured in that manner. So this is what we have always been trying to tell also, that with hardware security, it actually gives you all this functionality like a strong crypto function, a strong isolation. What I mean by that, if you were to implement your security function on your microcontroller, imagine this microcontroller or even a powerful controller would be used for many functions to analyze the data, to process the in-sensor information that's coming in, to perform maybe some kind of processing before it's being transmitted to the server. So it has a lot of all these responsibilities, and it consumes many resources. So for security function, you need the cryptography libraries, you need the AES, you need the encryption. So if you were to put this all on a security IC, which is a dedicated IC, mainly to do this, so you're actually releasing some of this resource from your controller and allow this security IC to do its job, which is meant to protect all your transaction of your data, as well as to protect the information that's coming in to these edge devices. So in that case, we will think that you will be able to achieve a maximum level of security by having this strong isolation. Because if anybody were to compromise the microcontroller, at least they will not be able to access the key. And with that, without that key, they cannot do any type of manipulation or even hacking into your system. All right? So I will go into some of this, but just to give you a glimpse of why we think hardware security is an added value to all device makers as well as whoever that's designing an IoT system. So these are some of the benefits that we feel we should probably highlight to you today about why hardware security. Because this concept is probably not very well known. Most people will find that having software is good enough. You need software, but probably you also need a hardware, especially when you are designing device. So let me share a little bit. So as I mentioned, what we are having in Infineon is a discrete hardware security IC, where it plays all the roles of your cryptography as well as your encryption and all the functions that you are required, and it has the ECC standard where you can actually be assured also with the common criteria certification. So all these are a lengthy process, and it's also we've gone through all the certification to ensure that this chip is going through all the stress tests to ensure no one can actually tap into it or try to hack it or try to do whatever manipulation. So this is the responsibility that a hardware semiconductor company like us have undertaken, and therefore when a designer like yourself or a device manufacturer like yourself use this IC, you'll be rest and assured that it has been proven and tested, in labs and also in the common criteria lab. And time to market is also a benefit. Why is that so? If you were to implement your own security on software, maybe you need to hire a team of software engineers and start coding on this. And a lot of time, you need to catch up with time on what the hackers are doing, and then you need to constantly update all this algorithm. And again, it's a lot of time spent. But with us, because we have security as our core business, and this is why we have all our algorithms and the latest technology to be implemented on this IC. In that case, you'll be rest and assured, at least you do not need to invest that much effort just to maintain your security code on this software platform. In terms of performance, a hardware security is actually, it's not a normal controller. It's an IC that is designed specifically for security purpose. And therefore, it is for sure to be able to run all the calculations and whatever checks that's required for security function. All right, it's different from the general purpose microcontroller, and therefore it works hand in hand. All right, you will have a controller and you will have this IC together. You will enhance a better value of your secure system. And logistically, of course, what I put here as benefits is because it's being manufactured in mass volume in our secure environment. Like our solutions are with common criteria certified. It's called CC. And what happened was with this type of certification, you need to make sure that your manufacturing environment is secure, so that nobody can come in and take on what is being processed and probably have a hold of what is the secret keys that are being processed for different customers. So this is being manufactured in a very secure manner. So in that case also, it allay that kind of a burden on manufacturer to make sure that their own manufacturing line is secure, because our manufacturing line, when we produce this IC, is already secure. And with this, I would also like to talk about scalability. Okay, why is that so? It doesn't matter which controller you are using, what type of interface that you are having. Okay, you could use a Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or even NB-IoT. You could be using a very powerful controller, or you can use a very simple ARM controller. You could also be using any kind of cloud services. It could be Amazon, Microsoft, or Azure, or any type. What it's trying to do is it's actually securing your edge device, and with the standards of cryptography that is being used, which is also a global standards, it is interoperable, and that's why it's scalable, and it's very easy for you to deploy it also in your own system, right? And the last point that I want to talk about is this cost-wise, actually to many embedded system designs could be one concern, but actually to be very frank, if you talk about the operating cost, and also like I mentioned just now, if you hire a software team to maintain your software for your security code, as well as if you were to set up a secure manufacturing line just because you have a software or some kind of a secure implementation that you have to guarantee to your end customer, all these are costs involved. So if you add up a total cost, actually having a hardware security will save you lots of this headache and also the cost involved. So in Infineon, what we do is actually we have a series of products that can be used for various different type of edge devices. It depends on which type of application you are looking at. It could be a simple device just for authentication, or a smart lighting solution, a smart home solution where it needs to be connected between mesh network within the house to the gateways and also back to the server. You could also be as complex as a TPM where you need to have routers or servers that are protected so that when anybody were to connect to these routers, it will be able to authenticate the devices and all. So there are various levels of security solutions that we offer, and this is where we help companies, startups, and enterprise to understand what is your application needs and what exactly do you like to protect and how is your use case. And from there, you determine which type of security level you will require. And I have put here actually is an enhancement on top of the microcontroller. All right. Again, there are some microcontrollers who probably have come with some kind of secure zone. But that can also be an enhancement to it because with a strong isolation, you ensure the code is always protected. All right, and I'd like to touch a little bit on blockchain. So last week, Infineon made an announcement. We work with this company, it's a startup, Zane, on blockchains for cars. So a lot of times in blockchain, we were thinking, okay, how does a hardware or semiconductor company come into play? In our IC for the car, the microcontroller that we use also have a hardware secure module. And that is where any access for the car will be controlled through this. And this is why in a blockchain network, if you need to access to the nodes, and this security IC will play the role as authentication, all right, to authenticate that if you are the rightful to actually access to this, and this network can be maintained on a blockchain, no problem for that. So we are actually doing some exploration with this company. The business, the application behind could be the sharing economy, for example, car sharing. It could also be for insurance company if they like to also maybe work with the car OEM to assess the health of the the behavior of the drivers as well as the health of the car on the road, and how is the speed and diagnostic of the vehicle, using blockchain as the backbone, but then having security on the car and the nodes as a way to authenticate. Right? So this is the latest announcement we made. So for Infineon, as I mentioned, because we have over 30 years of experience in this security domain, we have been supplying our IC for government IDs, payment cards, as well as transportation. We have also been putting our solution on different type of platform, on flash, and this some of the winnings innovation of ours is a attestation to say that we are the leader in security, and if anybody were to implement your security solution with our IC, at least we have some standards and some standings that you can trust on. All right, and these are some examples, just examples of customers we have worked with recently on some of the applications. So some of the TPMs are used in the PC makers, as well as for the handset, especially now we have many transactions that is running through your mobile phone. So your smartphone needs to be secure so that it will not be compromised by others that steal some of your payment credentials or some of your account information. So we are working with some of these brands here. I'd like to also talk about eSIM for automotive. So in Europe, there is this mandate for eCall, so emergency call. So in case a car gets into any accident, it will call the emergency automatically. And actually, every car will equip with an embedded SIM. And this is where we think that once this is enabled, that is where you need to also ensure that it is a secure platform whenever you have this connected car concept, all right? And we do have a few joint labs on the smart home and smart street lighting. Okay, coming to India, we do have a few exploration that are ongoing, where we are also exploring some of this application together, especially on your smart city innovation. We like to also understand how the different cities are trying to implement smart lighting, for example, or even CCTV monitor with a secure platform so that these images are securely transmitted to their servers and all. So these are some exploration that we do see in India, where there are many applications, many startups who are in this, and we are very happy to work with you if you would like to actually incorporate security from day one, because that is very important in your system design. All right. And also another domain that we also saw in India was, for example, the authentication of devices. So like I mentioned, there's also application like water filter, where you probably like to ensure that the filters that are plugged into your water filter machines are real and they are not used filters. So these are some applications that are very relevant for the Indian context, and we think that we probably can work with you on some of these applications, including the electric vehicle side. If any one of you are also looking into that part, batteries and also accessories and the rest are something that is very key in order to ensure the safety of the user. All right. So the key takeaways I just want to say is, of course, everybody knows that security is very important in the IoT environment, and hardware is certainly one way that you should consider, because hardware is another advantage on top of your application security and your also cyber security. And certainly, we believe that Infineon, being a leader in this for over 30 years, we will be able to work with you and help you out and make your system more secure. And if you do need more information, do drop by at our website, and you can connect to us with all this social media network as well. We have a booth outside, and you could also view some demos on how this is being applied in a smart street lighting type of setup. So thank you very much for your time, and feel free to come to me for any questions.
So thanks for that was a deep dive into security, and we will talk a little bit about more. Thank you for your time, and